So the Status of Women Canada website states the world needs the talents of everyone, women, men, girls, and boys, to truly reach its potential. The top 4 leadership attributes identified as needed for success today and more commonly found among women leaders are intellectual stimulation, inspiration, participatory decision-making, and setting expectations. So I'm Darnelda Seegers. After 2 terms as councillor for the District of Sechelt, I ran and was elected as the mayor in October 2018. I'm a wife, mother, grandmother, and small business owner. I believe in empowering others, particularly women, to recognize and step into their leadership in whatever arena they want to play in.
So I'm Lori Pratt. I served 10 years as a school trustee. In October 2018, I was acclaimed as a director for the Sunshine Coast Regional District and then as chair of the board. I'm a mom of 3 daughters. Women make up more than 50% of the Canadian population and yet only hold approximately 32% of elected positions that are held by women. We need to be an example for our next generation and encourage more young women to run.
So why did we choose to run a campaign school for women? Well, there are 29 elected positions on the Sunshine Coast to just under 30,000 residents. And in 2008, there were 8 women that got elected. 2011, there were 11, and 2014, 9. So we reached just under 40% female.
So this is the SCRD board in 2014, all men. Keep in mind that the municipalities can appoint their representatives and did have women on board, but chose not to appoint women to the SCRD board.
So there were previous women's campaign schools in 2008, 11, and 14, but the women who ran that moved off coast, so it left a gap. We chose to step into that. Statistics suggest it takes asking a woman at least 7 times before she decides to run for elected office. We did not want to let another election pass without an opportunity to learn.
So we asked the women in our community, the business women, to step up by donating towards the school. We wanted to keep costs down. All of our presenters were donating their time. We had a healthy lunch and calculated our hard costs at $35 per person to attend. We reached out to our contacts again to ask them to either sponsor a woman to attend or donate to the overall cost. We were then able to offer a tiered rate, free, $15 or $35 for a full day workshop.
We wanted a beautiful location and chose the Sunshine Coast Botanical Gardens. It was out of the way and provided a tranquil place for us to learn and connect. The event was held on March 3rd, just ahead of International Women's Day. And for those of you who don't know the Sunshine Coast, we have gorgeous West Coast weather that is the envy of all of Canada.
We chose a similar content and style as previous campaign schools. We had an agenda full of both general topics and skills like financing and fundraising, social media and writing speeches, as well as topics specific to the election like the nomination process, legislation, and the campaign process. There was something for everyone, no matter what leadership role they were considering.
So we ended the day with an elected officials panel of current women holding office from the Sunshine Coast. Attendees could ask those questions they needed answers to that hadn't been covered off during the day. The elected women shared their stories of difficulty and triumph. Women who chose to attend may or may not have been considering running for elected office. Some came to support others who were running, some came to learn about the process, or just be among others who were exploring leadership in the community.
The sessions were designed to engage the attendees. They were small and large group activities, humor, and fun. Each attendee was provided with a package of handouts for all of the sessions, and feedback at the end of the day was that the event was a hit. Some expressed that they weren't aware of the actual process, and others said it actually helped them to make the choice to run or not.
So our presenters were all local women who either worked in government, were or had been elected, or supported those who were. Some coached others in leadership. The bottom photo on the previous one showed the 5 women who formed the elected officials panel.
We had 42 women who attended the session. We had one come over from Vancouver Island as she couldn't find a similar session in her area. And we also had 2 lawyers come over from Vancouver as they wanted to create a similar session in the downtown. So of the women in the attendees photo, there are 8 women that ran for office and 6 who were elected. Some as they attended as they fully.
So the results. You can start seeing that women are showing up on there. The SCRD board moved from a board of 9 men in 2014 to having 2 women elected out of the 5 rural areas, 1 appointed from the municipality, and the SCRD board now has a female chair and a vice chair. That's us at the top up here.
That's us here. And we were both acclaimed in those positions.
Yes. District of Sechelt, of the 6 women who stepped up to run, 3 were elected, including myself as mayor. In the town of Gibsons, we had 2 women elected, and both were first-time candidates. So majority had attended actually the campaign school.
And here, Sunshine Coast School District, 100% women.
So of the 29 elected positions on the Sunshine Coast, 16 or 55% are now being held by women.
Yeah.
So holding the women's campaign school in March, a full 7 months prior to the election, with all the accompanying media, raised the issue of women in government and raised the consciousness about what women bring.
So this picture is from just before Christmas. We held a luncheon for the elected women because we wanted to continue to connect them. There's 4 missing from this photo, but we do have many of them in the room today, and we all support each other. And this quote, as media was reporting on the campaign school, I was quoted as saying it was really important to have more diversity at the elected level at the Sunshine Coast. A now retired male politician took exception to this and called me out on it a couple of times. So Nellie's words are from a campaign slogan in 1915, and they are still true over 100 years later, that we still need to create space for women to hold elected office and just make them howl.